Hey guys, this is Channel OP here. Nico's here
And King.
King. So yeah, guys, we figured we're gonna just do our first little video gameplay talk, I guess you want to call it. We were gonna talk about the Final Fantasy 7 remake, because I finally finished it. King's been kind of bugging me to finish it, so we can talk about it.
Oh yeah, it's just once you finish that game, you want to talk, but it's just best.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we figured we could save it for a video and just be like, oh, this is this, and this is our first thoughts.
Yeah, we were gonna play Blaze Blue while I talked about it, but it kind of doesn't really match up with Blaze Blue. So it's like King's never gone through 7. I haven't played all of it. I've watched others play and beat it. I've gotten about like halfway through it. I think I got like the disc 2 when I played it on the PlayStation. So I figured, oh, we'll just start a new game, go through it, and have our talks about what we thought about the remake, and just see how far we get today.
So I think at this point. So just a heads up for most of you or everyone listening. If you haven't played the new remake and you're planning on playing it and don't want any spoilers, we're going to be talking about the ending. We're going to be talking about a lot of stuff that's in there and anything that's different or changed. So just a heads up, there's your spoiler warning when it comes down to it.
Oh yeah, this is a full spoiler discussion. So yeah, just stop right here if you don't want any spoilers, because I think both of us have some words about what happened in this, at least with this remake, and kind of some of the changes from what I remember of the original.
So I've seen playthroughs, I've seen videos, and I kind of know a bit of what the story is of 7 because it's everywhere. Everyone knows what the main story of 7 is. I mean, right here you see Aerith, and we all know what's going to happen to her. That's like the biggest thing that I was kind of wondering how they were going to do in this, because how do you play a game that you already know all the big spoilers and everything, and how they're going to change things up?
Put dementors in your game is what you do.
Yeah. And I loved how this looked in the original or in the remake too. It was just so gorgeous. Even there, like, even that scene right there, you just kind of see that they were like, hey, there's gonna be some stuff different, because in the new one she was all afraid or she's just afraid at the very opening, like, oh shit, something's there. Okay, go. Here she just calmly walked away.
Yeah, and like, because I guess that's when they introduced these whispers, and I think it's kind of one of the first things you notice, like, okay, this is a change. Like, what are these things? But even that small open, like here, it was just on Aerith, and then it, zooms out, and now we're going to the cloud, and, crew coming in on the train, about to do a superhero landing. But the new one kind of brought more of that bustle to, like, the city, or the life.
Mm-hmm.
It had more people walking around. It gave her more of a chance to actually shine a little bit more than this, where it's like, oh, hey, I'm here, that's it. Whereas I guess the remake kind of shows, like, she knows that something's not right with, like, the planet or something.
Oh,
Something's
yeah.
wrong. That ominous feeling.
Well, I think she could see them already.
Oh, that's true. Yeah,
she was already able to see. But I like what those were, what the whispers or stuff were. I don't know if you're pretty sure you figured it all out, but I liked how the whisperers were basically canon. They were the canon. They're like, hey, this is how things are supposed to go. So if anything strayed from the canon, the whisperers showed up.
Yeah, they said, what is it? They're the keepers of fate, so they were, if anything straight from that, they rectified it.
So I just kind of, whenever I kept seeing it, I just figured it was like, those are pretty much just the fans. When this remake was coming out, they're like, you better not change anything, it better be this. And that's what the whisperers were. And even the game was like, no, we gotta fight this. We gotta fight the people who were like, it has to be OG. And then Square Enix was pretty much the gang of the Avalanche gang and everything. They were the ones saying, like, no, we're gonna break that, we're gonna do some different things here.
Yeah, like, speaking of Avalanche, I really liked how they put more focus on, Biggs and Jesse and what's his name over there? Okay, come on, Jesse. Where is he? Biggs? No, not Jesse.
I love him too. He's such a great character in the new one. I mean,
I want to say Rufus. Is it Rufus?
No, it's not
Rufus.
Oh wait, who are you gonna be? You gonna be Cloud?
Man, we're gonna stick with Cloud, unless I mess up these button inputs, which I'm slowly just trying to get used to.
Cloud.
So I'm Cloud. Yeah, it's not Rufus.
You know, I was kind of hoping that they would let us name our character in the new one. Because, or naming the team. I wouldn't mind just going through and just changing it, but makes sense since they all say the name and everything. Man, I can't think of it. I mean,
I know, man.
I was just playing this game before it came over here too, and I redid it.
Yeah, but I think when it comes like here, we can name them like before. I guess now with the new one that you don't select them, like it's kind of that move away from that traditional JRPG to, you know, hey, this is like an action RPG kind of thing. So what I mean, I really liked how they gave more development to those characters. I think if I remember when I was reading, like,
I mean, from what
Midgar isn't really that the Midgar section really isn't that long.
No, I think when when people go through, they can beat in like 50 hours the whole game, and Midgar's only like the first 5. The rest
Yeah,
is
something like
everything
that.
else.
Yeah, it's like really short.
And that was why so many people were kind of upset when they found out it was just Midgar, thinking it was just going to be a really short game to begin with.
Oh, it was pretty long. But I enjoyed it because I feel like it's one of those, like, yeah, you're in this city, but again, you don't spend so much time in it, and like it was cool to see to give more life to it.
Yeah. So what you think about the new gameplay and everything? I know I didn't play 15, or I haven't played 15 yet, but apparently it's the same style as 15's gameplay. And I liked it. It was similar to like the Kingdom Hearts and man, what's the other one? Tales of Mana?
Or Trials and Wedge. Wedge. Where did I get Rufus from? Oh, Rufus Shinra. That's why.
Oh, okay.
They get a hill.
Dude, his fight.
You know, it wasn't. I didn't really struggle with his. I was like, once I learned, I'm like, oh, I just can't like be super aggressive and greedy. Like I was okay.
I didn't die, but I was pretty dumb because I went in and tried going after him most of it and trying to leave the dog by himself because. If you,
oh no, I whooped that dog first.
Because I assessed and the dogs, or the thing on the dog says, hey, he's nothing, or he defends here, and if he's only getting heals from Rufus. So I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go take him out and then finish up the dog afterwards. He won't be able to get heals. Nah.
I know, I killed that dog first. I was like, no, I'm gonna get rid of you because like I feel like Rufus would have been all right. And again, he wasn't bad. It was just playing more defensively.
No, I did like his whole or not his whole mechanic, but I liked his whole, he throws coins and just makes freaking shotgun
laser beams. That was freaking cool. He's like, oh, you're gonna shoot through the coins to show me how accurate your shots are. I was like, okay, that's cool. And he's like, beige. I was like, oh damn. I'm gonna dodge those.
You know what nods and things I liked and didn't like at the same time? So I really liked, or I love the music in Final Fantasy. I've played the music game for it, and I love it for all the different games. And Final Fantasy's music's just one of the best video game musics or video game soundtracks out there. And there's whenever you beat the boss, there's that signature tone that everyone hears, and everyone loves that. They took that out because of the new fighting system. So you never hear like the whole "ope you leveled up" or the whole "ope you killed an enemy." But I like it whenever you're going through and you have Barret in the team and you finish a fight, sometimes he'll just sing it or hum it.
Oh.
I was like, okay, it's still there, and I love it because he's just like da 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 da.
Well, I think it's cool because like when I saw how they changed the combat system, which I'll touch on my thoughts in a minute. I didn't think that they were gonna have that theme in there. I figured they'd work it in some other way, just because it feels so unnatural with the way they're going with the combat, going like straight in and straight out. Like it would feel very unnatural, and I think that was a really clever way for them to go about it.
Yeah.
And then, even if you didn't get Barret saying all the time, when you went to the Coliseum, they had it. So I was like, that's cool. Like yeah, like how they worked it in. As far as the combat goes, I was pretty excited for it only because I played. Did you ever play Crisis Core on the PSP?
No.
Okay. For me, when I saw the combat, that's what I was reminded of. As soon as I was like, oh, this is the Crisis Core combat. Obviously, it's been improved and there's tweaks, but I really liked that combat system. So I was like, cool, like if they're going with any combat system, like I feel like this was a good route to go. Little by little, drain on.
You know what I noticed though as it goes? I mean, I didn't notice how often Cloud is really like, I'm part of Soldier, I'm part of Soldier, I'm Soldier, ex-Soldier. Like he says that, like, just a shit ton.
Mm-hmm.
It's just constant reminder of he was in Soldier. It's like, man, I got it. You're in Soldier. Even then, Barret's asked him, oh, how old are you? And he's just like, first. It's like, no, I'm asking your age. And it's like, oh, yeah, sorry. It's like, oh, I guess you're 1 year old. I love that little banter between them. Like, Barret's banter with everyone was just great.
Oh yeah, and I think like I guess looking back on it now, I feel like it makes sense for him to like throw so much identity on his soldier, because I mean we already said it earlier, but spoiler, Cloud's memories aren't his own.
Mm-hmm.
They're Zack's. So like that just builds on that like false personality kind of thing that he has, of him being a part of that. So he's so focused on it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's almost that mental like protection from like his own memories.
And going back to the banter with it, it's like that brought so much character to it. Like you really connected it a lot more. Like, did you, when you got to Shinra's place, did you take the stairs or did you take the elevator?
I took the stairs.
I took the stairs too.
Dude. Yeah, man, the banter between the characters is awesome. Like
that whole time they were just like, how many flights? Let's keep going. I got this. And Barret's just like, I don't know if I could do it. I even slowed down a bit, let Barret catch up, and then I couldn't, like, even Kyle gets tired when he's going up there. Like,
oh yeah, I noticed, like, as I was going, he started moving slower. I was like, man, I'm kind of like, I wish this was going faster, but I'm loving how it was slowed down so you could feel their struggle. It's like, this is awesome.
I was kind of hoping that something would change, because I even took the elevator all the way down and then went back to it just to see if they would say something like I could have taken the elevator. Like I was hoping for some side banter like that, just like, why'd you make me do this?
Mm-hmm.
But I think we should start talking about the stuff that's the big elephant in the room, the big Shinra elephant, or the big whisper elephant, I guess. What did you think about with like all the whisper changes and everything like that, and how basically that defined what this new game is?
I will say I'm glad that they answered it within this game and they weren't held on till like, oh, we're gonna wait to a sequel to like fully explain the whispers, because it seemed to wrap it up pretty nicely. Now with the whole like avatars of fate, and with them this is going toward the end, with them beating them and like, oh, you essentially overrode fate, you changed things. And then, spoiler, I'll say it again, they show Zack.
Yeah,
it shows Zack pick up Cloud and walk away.
It basically did that whole fight at the end of Crisis Core.
Exactly. And they show like the, what is it, little dog, the dog picture come up on the flyer, but it's wearing a different hat and then from what you've seen in the game. So it's like, okay, well, is this like a possible past? Is this an alternate reality? Like, why is Zack alive and carrying Cloud?
Like, from what I'm getting out of it is, and this is even with Sephiroth, because, spoiler, Sephiroth shows up a lot earlier. I mean, literally, at this point in the game where we're at here is when you start seeing Sephiroth just show up. Like, it was right here. He walked up to the reactor, and then you just started seeing Sephiroth walk up, right?
Yeah, it was right after,
Or was it when he first saw him when he was in the thing, but didn't he start having the, well, what's going on here?
Sorry guys, I will say if I'm like, see me struggling with all my stuff. I'm learning the buttons here. So, how do I equip my materia? The status? Order? I don't freaking remember.
Maybe magic?
No, that's order.
Probably magic, right?
Maybe it's right here. Oh, I probably have to wait till later to equip it. Anyway, we'll just keep playing. If I die. Yeah, speaking of Sephiroth, I think it was cool to see him. I don't know how I feel about him actually being introduced.
I'm I'm okay with it because from what I was kind of getting out of it, like I haven't looked up or read any other opinions on this. This is all purely my own thought and speculation. But I want to think that's the Sephiroth from this version. Like the one that, or the original FF, or the original Final Fantasy 7. I think it's the same Sephiroth because he goes and he's like, we've done this before, and all this, we've danced, and I feel like it's the same one, and that's him coming back and doing all this because all those whisperers were really trying to stop him, and he's like, no, screw that, and he just brushes them off to the side. That's what they even say, that they couldn't do anything to him. I feel like he's the same one, and he's coming back trying to redo his plan and trying to do things differently because he's like, no, if I'm fated to die like this, I'm changing it. We're doing something else. And I feel like that. I feel like that Sephiroth is the original, and he's the one who's striking his own timeline, and that's the game that we're playing in the remake. Is whatever Sephiroth is trying to change things too, and trying to do what he's trying to change things that way his stuff still goes through.
Oh, okay. I guess, yeah, I can see that.
Because he was even, whenever you saw Cloud has his history, what he thinks he has with Sephiroth, but the way Sephiroth was talking to him, it sounded as if he was like, oh, I've already done this whole re-meeting with you. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what we played in FF7.
Oh, okay.
Like, that's kind of what I was getting out of it and thinking, because a lot of him, he just had that look of just like, I've already gone through this, and I'm making sure that same stuff doesn't happen either.
Okay. I guess for me, like, I gotta say, like, for me not really caring about him being in there, it was more of like, I felt like the story was really just about, like, eco-terrorists against this giant bad corporation.
Mm-hmm.
And when they introduced the Whispers, like, okay, well, these Whispers seem to be messing with everyone on these places, so maybe, I guess they came off as the villain for me.
Yeah.
So when they showed Sephiroth, again, I didn't imagine seeing him so early. So I was like, this is cool, but they're just showing him. Like, what's the purpose of showing him so early?
Mm-hmm.
And that really didn't seem to take hold until near the end of the game. But I guess even the way they do the Sephiroth fight, like, it felt, like, really big with all of them coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess knowing, like, again, like, I don't know what the story is, I felt, I guess, a little cheated. Like, I did the final boss fight with the Whispers, like, oh, you changed fate, like, that's awesome, but now you're fighting Sephiroth, and I was like, well, this fight, what did I change? Oops. Yeah, see, I'm dying, because I don't know I don't know how they quit restore materia.
I like the death animation. It just goes from, like, I'm down to blah.
But yeah, like, because I was like, well, this fight means nothing, because I know this isn't the end of the game, or I didn't know this isn't end Sephiroth's story, so why bother with this fight? And it felt, like, kind of tedious. Like, I'm just, like, I'll just sit there mashing the, like, attack button and, like, countering and
honestly,
stuff.
some of the fights and some of the bad guys, man, they were just basically bullet sponges. Like, they had a shit ton of health.
Yeah, and maybe I'm just not, maybe I wasn't playing the game right, because I know you do the assess material. I brought this up to one of my buddies. Like, you'll assess them, and it's like, no data available.
Mm-hmm.
All resistances, no weakness. So I'm like, okay, what do I do? I just cry and keep attacking and countering? So, like, that scene, that was a little bothersome. But I guess a lot of it would be, like, kind of nitpicks, really.
Oh, speaking of nitpick, like, I'm going back into the music. I love the music of this. I kind of hate that you can't get a disc that's just pure Chocobo theme.
Oh.
You got like 3 or 4 different remixes of the Chocobo theme, but you don't have the original Chocobo theme.
Yeah, I ended up winning. Somehow.
Because you use lighting. That's all you need on these robots.
True. Oh, but speaking of music, dude, Hip Hop Day Chocobo was
like,
like,
those
dude,
were
that was my jam. Like, every time I got a new disc, I was like, this is nice, but it's not Hip Hop Day Chocobo. Like,
whenever you go, did you ever go to like the jukebox and change everything? Like, people were just around these jukeboxes. I'm like, no, you guys have got to find this song. You just gotta listen to this.
Yeah, I probably shouldn't save here because I'm wasting time, but I think I'm going to anyway. I guess I should have really, like, messed with the buttons before playing this. So we're trying to figure stuff out. I apologize, guys.
Hey, we're not claiming to be pros at this game. We're speedrunners, so it's okay.
Yeah, no, who knows? By the time we play it again, maybe I'll have the buttons down.
But going back into it, it's... one thing I kind of was hoping... Well, not really hoping, but through the whole game, you have 4 people in your party, and you see them, they're always in your party, whether they're in it or just kind of not... You can't play as them.
Mm-hmm.
There's only barely any fights, story-wise, when you have all 4 members in your party to play with. Like, it's only 3 main... Or you get up to 3, and then one person's always out. Even the final boss, like, you have... one character come in, and then the next, and then the next, and then Barret, or the last character finally Barret shows up, and you don't even get to play with him for a little bit. Even if it was the final leg of that Sephiroth fight, or whoever's fight it was, I wanted them all there.
True, but like it sticks with this. Like you had 3 people in your party.
Wait,
I was
you
wait.
you gotta say
yeah.
Jessie.
Yeah, well, thanks, man. Almost left it. Almost left her.
Oh, dude, Jessie, best girl.
Um,
Why the hell is she
Yeah,
like
so-
my leg and then just jumps right over you?
dude, it's Jessie. She's a badass. Get on the ladder, Cloud.
Good. Okay. Oops.
Cloud,
Okay, he's on.
there we go. So yeah, like I liked how they kind of changed it up as like, oh, well, Barrett's long range and stuff like that. It did get annoying at some points. It's like, oh, these guys are flying. You have Cloud.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, I guess I'll just use my magic. That's cool, but
even then, the gameplay's kind of iffy or iffy with that, because there's that sometimes where Cloud just jumps up and he's able to attack all the airborne enemies for a quick combo and then come back down. And then there's others where he's just like, I can't do anything.
yeah.
And you have to be forced to do Barret. I was like, I don't mind playing Barret.
Like
I
when you're on the
actually like playing
balconies
as
and they
him,
go,
but-
like they fly over the balconies, you're like,
Yeah.
cool, I guess Cloud will sit here and eat damage.
I mean, he's already jumping all the way up. Might as well just jump up and kick off.
I'll say, with freaking Barret, I remember getting the giant claw. I was like, dude, sweet, I got his claw weapon. And I got into a fight, and I was like, why is Barret not shooting anything? And I switched to him. I was like, oh, hell no, I gotta get rid of this. I can't do this.
The wrecking ball and the claw. I got both of them, and I used them because I wanted to max out the proficiencies.
Yeah.
But as soon as I did, I was like, I'm done. I'm going back to
You're
gun.
like, duh, like I can't do this.
I had, like, who did you like using the most out of the 4?
Dude, Tifa.
Tifa?
Yeah, Tifa was a freaking monster.
Dude, she could, or just her dodge. If you get dodge on her and everything, she's just constantly like running around, dodging stuff and just punching like crazy.
Yeah, like was it the deadly dodge materia?
Mm-hmm.
And dude, the dolphin fury limit break was freaking on point. Did you ever put that one on her and use it?
Honestly, I still don't know how to change the limits. I got them. I have all the legacy limits. I just don't know how to switch them. I was like,
Yeah, it took me a while. You have to go into,
there's a lot.
I think it's like the battle like system and like their battle. Can't remember the exact words you go through, but yeah, it's kind of like you really gotta search to change it.
There's a
But
lot
no,
of stuff
Dolphin
here where
Fury is.
it doesn't really show you like how to put things or really set things up.
And then, dude, Barrett's limit break, his second one, it's freaking hyper beam. Like he literally jumps in the air and it's all charging and just shoots a giant laser that's like focuses on the enemy for I don't know how long. And I was like, oh my god, what is this? Like, why can't I use this all the time? So, yes, I guess right there, just a big difference. Like in
Yeah.
here, they blew up the reactor, but in the remake, it's Shinra
Well,
that blows the reactor up, not them.
like I know a little bit about this, but doesn't even show that Shinra already knew about their stuff by then, or like later on it'll start showing the whole Shinra stuff in this game. But here they showed it all right away, just kind of like behind the scenes. Shinra was always involved.
I think so. Yeah, because it gave him a reason from dropping the plate and
Mm-hmm.
all that. Because like I said, it's a long time since I played this one. But, alright, let's
I
get
like
out
to
of here.
think that part right there where Wedge is holding his butt, the way they nodded to that later on, when he
Mhm.
actually has that like that whole fight and he just like got shot in the butt.
Oh yeah, with the crazy bike dude.
Yeah, I like that guy. I just
I was like, this was not in the original, but goddamn, do I love this character.
he
I
he
was sad he never appeared again.
dude, he has to be in the next one. Like, I feel like they did so much, or they did so much to bring him in that they set him up for like the next game whenever they bring him in. Because he's just like, I'll see you later, and then just gone.
Yeah. Oh shit. Wow. They kind of
Okay. That was fast.
got here quick. Yeah.
Man, you're already at the.
Yeah, there's no traveling before, and you just got straight up to Aerith, and now you're running through the city. Hey, you there? Later. Oh, I got an option. That's cool. Deuces. Oh, I didn't want to fight him. I wanted to run. I want to do later again.
But what's another thing that happened with it? Oh. So, we got the Whispers, we got Sephiroth, all the stuff that changed after you save it. So, now Zack is alive, and Biggs too?
Yeah, I saw that. I was surprised that they had Big survive, but I guess they kept Jesse gone.
I really liked how that ended though with it, because I was happy that Biggs was alive, but man, I was still kind of hoping that the others, Wedge, he grew on me. He was basically just started off as like a fanboy and all about food, but he was one of those where he was the heart of Avalanche, I felt like.
Yeah, see, I can't remember, because I want to say Wedge dies in this one.
Oh, they all die.
Did they all die?
Yeah, they all die.
Because I couldn't remember, but I had someone watching with me when I was playing it, when it showed Biggs at the end. And they were like, oh, they didn't bring Jesse back? I was like, well, they already got, Tifa's vibing after Cloud, Aerith's vibing after Cloud. I'm like, Jesse's vibing after Cloud. I'm like, you gotta kill that, that, was it the fourth wheel, I guess? Because it's not a love triangle, it's like a quadrangle.
Even with that though, I'm rooting more for Jesse. Like, after all that, I was rooting more for Jesse for that whole thing with Cloud. It's like, yeah, you have the childhood friend, and Aerith, she's just going hard, but it was like, I really liked the banter, or not the banter, but I really liked how Jesse was going about the whole thing. And when you go and meet the parents, you see the dad and everything, I was like, man, I want these two. I'm shipping these two now.
Yeah, it was more like they actually gave them more personality and got you more attached to them than they did in this one.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, when that whole scene when Biggs is like, I cleared the way for you, and sometimes I'm like, oh dude, I started tearing up. I was like, man, don't go, man, don't go, don't go on me, Biggs. And then
I knew it was coming.
An explosion with Jesse. I was like, oh, you're gonna choose Jesse too, like.
What got me, like, I was already kind of like on the edge with those two, but then you see Wedge, and I'm like, he got out. And then he's rescuing his cat, and then you see the thing come down, and I was like, Wedge, why the heck are you still there? Why aren't you still there? Everyone's out. Wedge, why?
Dude, this is cats, man. He can't leave his cats behind.
I know, but I was like,
those are his boys or girls. And like
he rescued. But then you go and meet him up later on, and I was all happy. I was like, okay, good, Wedge is still there. And then they just kept toying with my heart, because I'm like, the freaking robot comes in, he's already in critical condition, he barely makes it out, and I'm like, okay, Wedge, he's safe, he's there. Then he shows up, he's like, I'm came to help. I was like, no, Wedge, you're not ready for this.
With them all, they're changing, or not changing, but adding more to the characters. For like, I liked everyone, but Barret, he had to be my favorite so far. Like, I remember, like, Barret's a big buff guy with a gun, he's got a daughter, but like here, like, I know it sounds weird, but he was Big Daddy Barret.
Yeah.
And that when he thinks Marlene's dead and he runs, he's looking for her, he's all freaking out. Like, when he finally sees her, I'm not gonna lie, dude, I cried, because I was like,
oh, especially when he busts into Aerith's mom's house.
Yeah.
And he was just panicking, but then he was like, wait, oh, sorry, this is what I should be doing, this is what I'm looking for.
Yeah, like, he took that moment, and I was like, I had to take a moment. I was like, damn, Barret, like, you pull my heart, man. Like, you're not pulling my strings, you're pulling my heart. But yeah, I think they did a really good job bringing more life to these characters. I mean, they already did have life.
I loved how sassy Aerith was.
Oh yeah.
First time you see Aerith, you already get the sass where it's just like, oh, how much is the flower? And she's like, well, since it's you, I could charge this much, but since you, I'm gonna give it on the house. And she just goes and it's like constant sass. And then even later on when you go and you're trying to be her bodyguard, and she's like, okay, well, how can I pay you? I'll pay you in a date. And Cloud's like, what? And she's just like, yep, this happened, you know.
Yeah, no, they, I guess I can't really say anything too much on her, because I don't remember how she was in the original. But I like that sass. Like, she always, like, she's very quick-witted.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she always had something to say. Like, she was always on her, like, kept you on your toes and stuff. Dude, Red 13. Like, God.
Oh, yeah.
I wish we could have played with it. Because I really like 13.
I mean, it makes sense just because
there's already so much,
and you only get him towards the very end, like the last 2 chapters, basically. It would have been weird, kind of like trying to figure out a materia system, but it would have been nice to just play, but you can't mess with him, like his stats or anything. If it was just more like, oh, just to in fights, like you could switch to him, fight, and that's it.
Yeah, no, I think they really did. I guess one of those things, like he came in so late in the game, but just the few moments you have with him, like he makes you, like, I don't know, I felt attached to him really quick.
Mm-hmm.
Like even knowing the backstory with him from the original, I think they did a good job. Like you sunk into him really quickly. And then when Hojo asked him, like, who do you think you are, or like who you are, and they all say they're...
Wedge's top just fully comes up. He's just a big old Pez dispenser.
Oh my god, yeah, what the... What?
He's one of those little eggs. The Russian doll eggs, I guess.
That's pretty... Oh, my bad. I'm not trying to bother you. I want to talk to Jesse. You can get out of here, conductor man. Yeah, I'll look that with you. I want to find out what we're doing. Yeah.
You know something I didn't even... In the game, you're going around with the Avalanche crew. Nobody in the game looks like the Avalanche crew. And I don't mean that as like, these are the main characters and there's that, or they're characters who you're following. They're the only ones wearing like armor and stuff, and no one bats an eye towards that. These people are wearing suits and they're just like, okay.
It's like, oh, there's a giant explosion. Like, oh, Future's on the loose. It's like, don't mind the 3 people wearing bandanas with with almost like shoulder guards and full-breasted armor and everything. Of course, you have Cloud, who, like,
and then they got like their machine guns on their back and everything. It's just like, yes, that's just normal attire for them in this sector.
Or even later on, it's like, oh, they caught on to you. They're looking for a man with a giant gun for an arm. It's like, and that wasn't a clue beforehand.
I kind of thought, like, later on, I was like, I'm just going to switch to Wrecking Ball. I was like, what's the thing? He doesn't have a giant gun as an arm.
You're not loved with at the end when the president for Shinra was hanging off the edge. Mm-hmm. Barret just grabs with one hand, like throwing up the air and catching him. I was like, God, dude, like how strong? I guess those muscles aren't for show, man, because that's some strength.
Oh, even going into that part though, the fact that Sephiroth's the one that comes up and just destroys Shinra. Like, he just straight up, it's like, I thought Shinra was gonna be something and all that. I knew he dies, but I mean, like, just the fact that Sephiroth was the one that ended it, it was like, bam.
Well, that's how it is in the original too.
With Sephiroth?
Yeah, I don't know if you talk to the... I don't think you talk to the president, because in this one, I think you walk into his like room or whatever, and he's actually on his chair, and the sword is through his chest. And they're like, what? Because I think it's more like, in this one, Sephiroth wasn't introduced till later on, so it was like, that was points to them like alluding, and Cloud being like, God, is he's not supposed to be alive, what is he? But I mean, I guess with my caveats against like Sephiroth, I feel like they did do a pretty good job weaving him into the story. I think that it would have been a little bit stronger if he hadn't been kind of thrown in there.
You know what would have been an interesting change if they did and stuck with it? So we all knew that Aerith was going to be the one that dies. Since that's like the big spoiler of Final Fantasy. It's always hit hard, everyone knows that. And I was kind of happy, or not happy, but I was kind of surprised in being like, oh, they're gonna go this route when freaking Sephiroth comes and just stabs Barret the same way that he stabs Aerith. And then Barret was going out, and I was like, oh, are we gonna lose Barret? Like, I was attacked, like you said, Big Daddy Barret. Like, we're attached to Barret. I would have been sad if he died, and that would have been like one of those, another, since it's doing a remake and they're trying to re-change some stuff, that way you still get your surprise and you still have those emotional impact. Losing Barret would have been like, oh shit, like that same feeling when the original people played this and Aerith went out. It would have been a similar feeling. And I would have been happy that they did that. Not happy because I like Barret, but I would have been happy that if they did that, it would have had that same emotional tie as what the first one is. But with a new character, I wasn't expecting.
It was like, well, now with the Fates and...
But then Canon came with the Whisperers and just was like, nah, he's not going to die. Bring him back to life. And then they saved him.
Yeah, well, like I was talking to a friend, and I kind of brought up, like, because of the way they integrated the Whispers into this remake, it's almost as now that the Whispers are gone, because it seemed it was fate that Sephiroth was going to get his way, because they kind of just ignored him, like they were with him. And now that they've gotten rid of him, they're like, oh, well, we defied fate, we changed fate, and then it showed Zack, you know, in that flashback. It'll be interesting to see what they're going to change. Like, I think it gives them more leeway to do what they want with the story. I did bring up, like, I hope they don't bring in, like, time travel or too much messing with time, just because in any story I really don't care for that, because I feel like you can use it as, like, cheap mechanic.
I'm trying to figure out, like, what's that going to do with Cloud with the whole Zack being alive now?
You know, I brought that up too, because at least from my understanding...
Because if that was a flashback, then wouldn't that kind of mess up with, like, the whole Zack's memories implanted into him?
Well, I was talking to someone about this, because they're like, oh, well, you know, now it's showing that he could be alive. And I was like, well, that wouldn't make sense, because... At least for me, it doesn't make sense, because the Whispers always seem to be... all like, you can't change the future's set.
Yeah. And
for them to show that, I'm like, they've been showing Cloud getting his memory, so to me that was showing his past memory. And I always at least from what I remembered, you know, Cloud taking Zack's memories were a pretty, like, big part of Cloud's character and his, like, kind of his motivations and his development, because he sacrificed himself.
Yeah.
Now if that was a flashback and he didn't sacrifice himself...
What's going on back there? Is that kid just beating that girl?
I think... Oh, no. It's a massage.
Oh.
Or he's tapping those explosions, so that's...
Okay.
Future Avalanche recruit. Did you hear? No, what? There's a new update. Say the terrorist explosion above. This time was a Maker reactor. I know, I was there.
Don't care.
Don't care. Oh, excuse me. Excuse you too. But yeah, with him being alive, it'll be interesting to see how that changes Cloud. And with him, so I'm kind of hoping, with Crisis Core focusing so much with Zack and Genesis, if with Zack being alive, why has he been gone so long? If he is he gonna pop up? Is Genesis gonna pop up? Like, with I think it was Dirge of Cerberus had, like, an end credit scene that showed, like, Genesis was still alive or some nonsense. So with that happening, like, is Genesis gonna play a role in the story? Is it gonna be Sephiroth and Genesis bad guys? Are they gonna fusion Ha?
Like, they can... I mean, that would be a whole different set. Sephiroth being like, hey, he wasn't around at this time. Let me try this, since this didn't work with me before. So, there's a good chance. Like, I would love to see this game continue, or with this... I mean, the story is going to continue. The sales have been good. The whole reviews have been good. There's no way they wouldn't just make a first one. This is just them printing money now. But if they continue that story, or since they're going to continue that story, I would love to see Zack come in and possibly be a playable character of the team.
Yeah, that would be... Because I like Zack. I think I need to change it, honestly, you can change the voices, the Japanese. I didn't really care for whoever they got to do his English voice. He sounded real nasally. I was like... I
mean, he only had like 3 lines. I didn't really notice too much, but it was alright for me.
Oh, see, I'm just
These are the first time I'm hearing these voices anyway, so...
Oh, okay, I see. Like I said, I played Crisis Core, so I'm used to, like, another voice actor, and I was like...
You played it in Japanese.
That's true, but I did play it in English.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I struggled through the Japanese one. I may not have known what was going on or what any of my items did, but I beat it. So when I got the English version, I flew through that game because it was a whole lot easier.
It's like I could read.
Right? I was like, I know what I'm doing. This is great. What is this? What is this kanji symbol? I'm like, okay, this is fire. I'm like, oh wait, there's the fire symbol and another symbol. This must be Firaga, right? You know. But yeah, like I'm pretty. I think they already said like.
I like how you're
it's
leaving
used in
and then
development.
Bear comes in and Cloud just is like, oh, I gotta look like I didn't care, but I tried a little bit to care, not care enough.
I just
Like,
jump
he
on the
just
table
jumped,
like
he's
super
oh, yeah,
quick.
I've been like this for a while.
Man, so like you can already see how little there was of like the escape coming back to here compared to the remake.
Yeah, this is already like chapter 3.
Yeah, like they sit down. What if I don't want to? I miss it Tifa. I guess you wouldn't tell. Give me something hard. What did you choose in the remake? I think I chose to give me something hard in the remake too.
I think so.
I was like, yeah, man, I gotta.
Because she basically gets him like just or whiskey or something, and then it's like, okay, here, try this. This is my special Tifa hammer or whatever it was.
Oh yeah. It's like, man, like I need to go back through and finish out some of the achievements in that last one.
Yeah, I'm going through now, just trying to 100% it. I'm going through it in a hard mode. And at what level are you when you finish the game?
34?
Okay, so when you beat the game on hard mode, you get like basically double XP for everything. That's great for all the people who finished at 30 in the 30s. For some reason, I finished the game at like 49.50 for all my characters in the party.
My god, dude, did you grind?
I didn't think I grinded too much, but I guess I did because I tried to get all of the material leveled up, and so I was working on the revival one because that one's like 5,000 just to get the last one.
Oh, see,
I ran through the Coliseum on classic mode and just sat there for like a couple hours and just let the game play itself. But I didn't even notice. Like I looked and I was like, man, I'm 49, 50. All right. Game doesn't get that much easier when you're that high in those final bosses. You're still having to pay attention, having to go and lay down everything you need to.
I'd imagine because I guess it goes back to like, especially those 3 little specters at the end.
Yeah.
It's just like they were just, I would say like they're just damage sponges, man. Like they just sat and took hits, and like it was cool how how it made it all cinematic where they're fighting the big thing. But I did lose interest in it. I was just like, okay, come on, like.
I think that was probably the good thing about being leveled up so high. It's like, yeah, they took a big hit, but it felt like each fight was a decent fight. It didn't take too long. It wasn't done right away, and wasn't like steam thrown. So I don't have those issues because another friend of mine had the same, where they were just like those last fights took forever just to get through. I was like, I didn't have that issue, to where I feel like it was more cinematic for me on even when I was going through, but it wasn't like I finished, I did 2 hits and they were dead. I was still sitting there like, okay, gotta roll, I gotta heal, I gotta use my pots, I gotta do everything I need to just to stay alive while doing it. So it was still a challenging fight, but it didn't take like, I was hitting them and doing like 3 damage each time. I was doing more like 6 damage each time.
Yeah.
So it cut that overall time in half, but it was still a pretty long fight either way.
I guess
I guess wish you could have went down here.
I guess that's like where my takeaway was from. I was like, it wasn't a hard fight. It was just tedious. But I did how like they did the little cinematic thing.
So when you got to the end, it was you. Who showed up next?
For what?
So in the end fight, when it's just Cloud and he's going, and then the rest of the team members show up. Who was your second team member?
I think it was Aerith.
Aerith? I had Tifa.
Was Tifa? Demon's? I don't remember.
Well, I mean, it switches. It depends on how you talk to people in the game. And I like that little bit, like some of the little comments where you're just like, oh, this is nothing, or it's just small little choices. It affects your game, not overall too much, but enough to where, like here, I had Cloud, and then I had Tifa show up, and it was me and her, and then Aerith showed up, and then Barret at the end. I was talking to another friend, and he had Aerith show up second.
Okay, I want to say I think it was Aerith, because at first when she came in, I was like, yay, my healer. So I think that was it.
And then what about when you were at Eric's house and everything? Who did you have a heart and heart with? Like you left and they were still there, like they were outside.
It was Tifa.
Tifa? Okay, I had Tifa too. Because apparently that was another part that changed. Oh, you know what I like that was new that added on to something we already knew?
Hmm.
The whole dance scene.
Oh yeah, man! I remember seeing an article. It was like, there's a dance scene, or there's a dance mini game in Final Fantasy VII Remake. Yes, a dancing mini game, and yes, there needs to be more of it. And I was like, what the? I was like, what? So then when I actually played it, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. I want more of this dance.
It was great. I love the dance. I loved watching it. But man, I played so many rhythm games. That was hard to do. With how the whole controls went on there. Because you're going through, you're dancing. One, there's already on the you just want to watch Cloud dance either way, but it's just like at some points you're not really sure if it's touched it or not. Like I think it missed like 2 notes, but I felt like it was just cheap on how it was.
And see, I didn't have a problem with it, but at the time I didn't, because I had someone, I was playing with someone watch me. It's kind of like try to go through the game as quickly as possible, so I could go back and just do stuff on my leisure time. But they watched it and they loved the dance. I just sat and watched the buttons. Like I saw the dance, but I didn't like. I saw it, but I didn't watch it.
I had to watch that dance as soon as it came up. I was just so like flabbergasted by the whole thing because it was just so great. I wasn't expecting it, and I was like, whoa. Because I was kind of wondering like what when you get over there, it's like, hey, you might want to practice your dance moves. And I was like, what's that? Okay, practice dance moves. I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Is there gonna be more? No.
I know. I thought there would have been more, but I mean, I guess you don't want to put too much.
I mean, even if it
All that
was
stuff in
optional,
there, so-
it would have been great. I would have gone back and just started like mastering my dance moves as Cloud
Yeah.
or Tifa, because you could do that with the whole push-ups and stuff. That was interesting, like how they did their push-ups and sit-ups.
Oh yeah, like how they just. I was
Or
wondering how they're gonna do
squats.
that. Was it Jules? Dude, I
Jules.
like Jules. Jules was cool.
And he had a face you wanted to punch, though. Like just how his mouth was, it was just so perfect and like it just shaped. I was like, for some reason, you just have that face I want to punch. You're a great guy, but your face.
See, I didn't get that vibe. I was just like, dude, I need to use my personal changer because I feel like, or personal trainer, because I feel like you would know how to motivate me.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all in all, I really enjoyed the remake. I mean, honestly, like I said, stuff I had are like nitpicks. So hopefully it won't take them too long to get into the next episode out. Hopefully it won't turn into those things like, oh, hey, you know, PS5 and Xbox Xbox X or Series X is out, so
It's gonna be Last for Us Part 1 and Last for Us Part 2. I hope it's not, but they both are coming out at the end of their generations.
exactly. I think at least for Last of Us Part 1 and 2, like that's just, yeah, they're waiting for a sequel, but I feel like here it's different. Whereas this one's like, yeah, here's the original game, but this isn't the whole story.
Yeah.
Whereas the other Last of Us, like, it could be like, yeah,
Its
that's
own
it.
standalone.
Yeah. Whereas the remake, and this is kind of, I was talking to a friend when I was discussing this stuff. Like, this is where I think that introduction to Sephiroth really early is gonna hurt because it ends
Half the
with
time
it
I
with
wasn't even sure if
him.
that was really Sephiroth.
Yeah, like him and Genova, like, for whatever reason, 'cause, you know, the change with games, you know, nothing's ever set in stone.
Yeah.
So if an original if the sequel doesn't get released, I feel it hurts that remake, because then it would become a standalone game, and now it's, those plot threads hurt it.
And it's gonna just turn into like one of your favorite TV shows where it's just like, oh, this was a good season, I want more, and you can clearly tell they were setting up for another season.
Yeah.
And it ends like, oh, this is a good cliffhanger for later, because that's how this felt like. It felt more like the end of a TV series, like a season, not really like the series, but a season. But you don't want it to just end and then it gets canceled because the numbers weren't where they wanted it, and then you're just kind of left with that.
Yeah, 'cause I don't know if you felt this way, but like with it built like a lot of questions are going through, and again I think they handled it pretty well, but at the end like they just started throwing information at you, and like
Yeah.
yeah they explain it and they do a pretty good job explaining it, but again like it's still a lot of information within what the last two chapters,
Yeah. I
which is
mean,
Nova.
honestly, Red 13, I love him, but he was basically just exposition. Anything he said was just to fill in, like, oh yeah, this is what this is what this thing does. It's like, as soon as
Yeah.
something got there, he's like, oh yeah, Hojo's lab is this. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, again like one of those things like I think they did a good job doing it, but it doesn't change that that's what they were doing.
Yeah. And then even then with him, he was like, I don't know how I know this. I guess it's just all planted right now. Like even he kind of commented on like, oh yeah, I just kind of know all this.
Yeah, and so that's why I want to, like, we'll have to go through the rest of this, because I really don't remember a whole lot of, this story. God, it was like back on my original PlayStation I played this game. It's been a long time. So, oh man, I thought the game cut out. I was like, oh no! Don't do this to me. Computer, can I play games? No.
How long have we been?
I don't know.
How long have we been?
So let's see. Good morning, Cloud. Did you sleep well? I didn't get to sleep. See? I figured that one chick, well, the apartment, that little house you stay in.
Yeah. Also,
That's one thing.
one of the things I was really wondering, like, so you have these people with like random numbers on their shoulders.
Yeah.
You get them, you see them every now and then.
Yeah.
You have these people with their little numbers and stuff on them.
What is it? Well, I figured they were like, I don't know, they're the Whisperers. I thought they were like Genova experiments, but I'm not really sure after how the game ended.
And especially with like at one point you see what's his face, or you see Sephiroth, and then it turns into one of them. Like I'm wondering if that's just how Sephiroth from like this game is slowly like getting into there. He's taking over.
Yeah, and I need to go back and watch Advent Children, because I thought maybe it was like how Sephiroth could become any one of those three.
Yeah.
But someone was telling me that Sephiroth actually made those three. So there weren't like the regular test soldiers, but like I haven't watched Advent Children. I don't know how long. So I need to go back and watch it and see, because it makes sense why. I mean, again, the Whispers left him alone, but then he was able to just like, haha, I'm here, then just vanished.
And that goes into my theory of like Sephiroth's kind of from this version of the game, and he's slowly coming in through those like as a host, as a body, because each time you see them, they always had different numbers, so it wasn't the same guy, and they're just always like worn out. I mean, even that one when you were all the way up top and he just jumped off and then turned into one of those.
Yeah. So like I said, like I really have a lot of questions and not answers.
Hopefully the next game goes over a lot of it, but I'm really invested into this lore now.
Yeah, and I really want to see how they bring some of like Vincent and Yuffie, because you know you could play the original game and never use them.
Yeah.
So I wonder I mean, honestly, I feel like they're gonna throw them in. Like Yuffie, I think Yuffie's got a pretty good fan base, but you know Vincent, everyone loves Vincent.
But I mean, either way, the way the gameplay's changed and each character is unique, I can see both those characters being just unique gameplay.
Now I know how to use magic or materia now.
Oh, nice.
I want this tutorial.
You have to put it onto the...
Yeah, I pressed a tutorial where I was like, yeah, show me, and it's like, wait a minute, I shouldn't have. I remembered this. I was just trying to do it earlier, and I couldn't. Like now, like, I have the option.
But yeah, it's like the way, since every character plays differently, I think even when they bring them in, it's Yuffie's going to be throwing in shurikens and then a giant ninja star too. So you're going to have her play or gameplay probably be like a ranged version of Tifa, like how she's fast at dodging, and then Vincent, he has his gun, but he's not like shoot heavy as Barret.
Yeah, maybe he'll turn him into more of like a... What is it, like more of like a stagger builder?
Yeah.
Than what Barret is? So, but what is his maximum fury move? Dude, I use that attack all the time.
Same. Also, I really liked how in this game, once you get a new item, just go straight to your new weapon, and that's it. You leave it. You forget all about your old Buster Sword and everything. I liked how in this game, all the weapons are pretty much useful, and depending on how you want to build your character. You want to go for an even mix between magic and attack. They got that. You want to just focus purely on magic. Every character has an item for that. You want to turn Barret melee? You can.
Yeah.
You want to turn someone into more of a tank and switch them into this so it has more defenses? You have those too. And I really like the customization of how you play is really just, it's there.
Like you really had to, or you can kind of assign, I guess like just like in here you could assign roles. But especially not having access to the, like, that dedicated healer all the time.
Like, who was your healer?
Dude, everybody.
Okay.
Cloud had Cure Materia on, Barret had Cure Materia, and Tifa had Cure Materia on. I guess just because I didn't really, maybe I didn't understand the mechanics very early on. But I've always liked someone, I think I got spoiled with Final Fantasy X when I played it, where I just made everyone able to do everything. So now when I play, if everyone can have Cure on, I like everyone having Cure on, just in case something happens. Which a lot of the time, things happened, and...
For me, I think I had the auto cure on Tifa, so she was always like my backup healer. But then I had Aerith as like a healer, and she had all of the healing stuff, Rays and everything, just to keep her like constantly being a support. And then Barret, I had him as my like main healer. Since he was my tank, he had about 10k HP by the time I got to the end. He had like 2 HP materia ups on him. He had MP, magic damage, and he was mainly just a healer and attack mage. And then Cloud just pure melee with thunder on him, just in case. But like everyone had their own they had their own element of what they were focusing on.
Oops. Oh, go back to no materia. A lot of the time, Barret was like, he's the one that had barrier. He's the one that had like haste and all that stuff. Like if Aerith wasn't there, he would become my main buffer, like support. Again, just because he was such a tank to be able to take those hits.
I think I did it. I had like Cloud with haste, so he would buff, or he would increase damage for that, and then Tifa was the defense buffer. Just because since they were the ones who I pretty much set them up by what their role was. Since they're both attacking, but Tifa's always in the front lines, closer than Cloud because he had with his long ass sword. Tifa was buffing for the defenses. And then Cloud, since he was always in there and he's just constantly trying to punch and hit sword strike constantly, I gave him haste and everything like that and time stuff, so that way you can like freeze them and then go after that.
But I don't know about you, but I think we had a good stopping point.
Yeah.
For today. So yeah, just how quickly we went through all of that compared to the remake. That was pretty crazy. Thanks guys for joining. If you watch this, thank you for listening to us rant about this game. While we played this original one, so when we go through it again, we'll let you guys know. Hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date with the videos. And I mean, if you liked it, then please comment on the below like what your moments of the game you really loved and stuff. Yeah. So and again, thanks for joining us, and we'll catch you guys next time.
See ya.